And this lady, now get this, I had this conversation with this lady. She wasn't even, she had kids, but her kids were not even in youth ministry. This woman, after I had that conversation with her, she has funded 2 students, a male and a female, students to youth summer camp for the last 18 years. Every year. Here's the money for summer camp. Every year, without fail, she's paid, and it's divided about $500 combined together. And it wasn't like, man, I hope she gets money. Bro, as soon as the announcement was out, hey, deposits are due on this date, here she comes. Here's my deposit for my 2 kids. Hello. See, it's not, what we do is we want to compartmentalize and stuff and not allow people to be involved. But it's our job to be observant on what their gifts are. Help them to get where they're at. And supports everything. Man, this woman, like, when we do fundraisers, man, she brings the heat, bro. And you're like, what's up? And what happens is the attitude between the leadership changes for that individual. So it goes from, to like, man, I really appreciate what you're doing. Man, we couldn't even do this without you. I have this one man, can't stand young people. Has a heart for them, but can't stand to be around them. Straight up told me last Sunday, he's like, we have a new youth minister, and he's still trying to adjust, because he's been there for a while, so he's trying to adjust the fact that I'm not the youth pastor no more. And he's like, Brother Sully, he goes, man, I love these young people. Here's $20. Every Sunday, he finds me or my wife, and he hands us $20 for youth ministry. And I was like, brother, I'm not the youth pastor. You go give it to Miss Ortega over there. I keep forgetting. That's how long he's been giving us $20. Like, when he comes to the door, as soon as he sees us, you got to ask yourself, if you're leading at any point, if you're working with young people at any point or any area, the first question you have to ask yourself, this is ugly, is would you even work for you?
Good.
Would you even work for you? I had a person one time, they said, raise their hand, so I would work for me. I said, no, you just think you would work for you. Because everybody's like, would you work for me? I know people, I tell people all the time, when you come, I'd be like, what's up, Josh, man, I appreciate you coming to youth ministry. I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to make you mad. I'm going to hurt your feelings. You're going to want to leave. You're probably going to want to cuss me out at one point. But I just want to let you know, heads up, that it's coming, and I'm not going to do it on purpose. And if I do it on purpose, it's for your growth. I just tell them right about up front. That way, when I make them mad and piss them off, they're trying to leave, they're like, oh yeah, he said he was going to do that. But what we do a lot of times is we're not upfront with stuff like that, and so we don't ever communicate that we're going to hurt people's feelings. And so we're on this pedestal, and when we hurt their feelings, they take off running. So are you willing to even work for yourself? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. Would I follow me? Because if you wouldn't follow me, that's probably why people are not following you. And if you say, well, how can I get people to follow you? That's the next question, right? You'd be like, okay, well, how do I get this? So the first question is, would you follow you? The second question is, why should someone even want to help you? Why should somebody even just want to help what you're doing? Why? Because I'm a really cool guy. I dress cool and I got nice kicks. I'm funny. People don't follow you because you're funny. People follow you because of your character. Longevity, commitment. See, we want to be people of faith, but we don't want to be faithful. Hello. I'm talking 18 years of youth ministry. I can't tell you how many times I quit. I've quit more times probably than the people sitting in this room. I mean, I get up and be like, Lord, I quit. God said, that's fine. You can quit. Just show up in the morning. That's the first time I quit. That's exactly what the Spirit of God told me. I was crying. I've been there 2 years. Man, I had 5 young ladies in our youth ministry pregnant. We only had 15 students. 5 young ladies were pregnant. Youth ministry was going to hell in a handbasket and burning them fast. I was like, God, I was in my room. I remember, man, I was in my bedroom. I was crying. I was like, God, just, you know what? Let them go to hell. I'm just done. They don't want to listen. They don't want to follow you. Forget it. I quit. God said, you can quit. I was like, what? He said, go ahead and quit. Well, I'm quitting. I laid down on my bed, facing the pillow. God, I can't do this. He said, just make sure you show up in the morning. I was like, went and watched some TV, ate some chicken, and called it a day. Woke up in the morning, man, I was back in the ground. I'm just being real. And I can't tell you how many times I've quit. I'd be like, I was having a youth leader meeting, man, and my youth leaders were frustrating me. I just walked out of the meeting. I'm gone. I see y'all, man. Where you going? He's pissed off. I just left, man. My wife's like, I thought you had a meeting. I'm done, man. Got the next morning, I get all these phone calls. I'm like, did you get this done? Did y'all get that done? Yeah, we're sorry, man. We're sorry. Okay. So would people even want to help you? Why would somebody even want to help you with what you're doing? Uh-oh. That's what we have to ask. Nobody wants to ask these questions. We just assume everybody wants to help us. We assume everybody wants to follow us. The third question is this. If getting or keeping help is hard, why is that? Why is it hard for you to get help and keep help? Because most of the time what happens is, I can't get anybody to help me. I can't get anybody to come serve. Why is it hard for you to get people? Because they don't like you, you're not likable? The Word of God says this. It says us in Proverbs, it says, if you're lacking in friends, then you need to find yourself friendly. Hello. You got to find yourself to be friendly. Well, I only like these people. I only like that people. Well, that's your problem. I'm going to jump forward a little bit. Speaking of friends, look at your neighbor, say, you need some friends. Look at your neighbor, you say, you need some friends. These are 4 friends that you have to have. I learned this about probably 13 years ago. You need to have these 4 friends. You have to have these 4 friends, and I'm not talking about the crazy ones that ripped off the roof. That's the one we like to preach about, but that's not what we're talking about today. 4 friends that you have to have. If you're white, you need a black friend, a Hispanic friend, and an Asian friend, or some other nationality or ethnic group friend. Are you with me? Yes. You have to have them in your life. People say, you're crazy. No, I'm not. Tell me why. I'm going to tell you why. If you have a really good African-American friend, you will understand the African-American culture, way of thinking, how they do things, a lot better than the person that doesn't. And if you're black and you need a white friend that you can understand why and what it means to be a cracker. I've got those friends in my life. I'm telling you, man, I've got a good white friend. I got one of my best friends is white. He country. Country. The glass guy I was talking about last night, man, I love him. Man, I love him and his wife. We're great friends. I got some Mexican friends. I've got too many of them. One of my best friends is Hispanic, and he's Mexican. Like Mexican. Like when I say Mexican, I'm not even like M-E-X. I'm talking about M-E-S-S-I-C-A-N. Mexican. I've got a black best friend that's black, man. And the reason I share this is because there was a friend of mine. He was mentoring me. I was doing school assemblies, and I was traveling and doing Travel the Nation, doing school assemblies. And I met this guy. His name was Joseph Jennings. Everybody ever heard of Joseph Jennings? He passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. And he was mentoring myself and a friend of mine in doing school assemblies. Now, Joseph Jennings, man, he was on Oprah. He was on Today's Show. He was like big time. And I didn't know who this cat was. I ran into him at a conference, and man, he just took us under his wing. And I tripped out when I found out that he was one of the founding members of the Crips. Blew my mind. Dude was big. He was probably like 6'2", 6'3", built like a football player, bald head, and ghetto. This dude was hood. Hood, like super hood. Like, he's using the N-word from our pulpit. Hood. Yes. My pastor's like, all the black folks are laughing, all the Mexicans are like, oh my God. Me and my friend are like, I can't believe we got him to speak here. This guy was hood, but check this out. This is what's crazy. This is the part that he shared with me. He shared with us one day, we were eating lunch, and he just turned to me and my friend, he says, how many white friends you got? I was like, white friends? He's like, no, I'm not talking about like people that you know casually. I'm talking about like a friend, like a best friend that you have. How many white friends you have? I'm like, man, he goes, how many black friends do you have? One, kind of. Black friend, kind of. He goes, how many Mexican friends? Like, 25, 30? He says, that's the problem with America. And I was like, what? He says, you know who my best friend is? And we're like, who's that? He said, the X, listen to this, the X, what do they call them? The
Ku Klux
Ku Klux Klan Grandmaster Dragon of Georgia was his best friend. Best friend. He wrote a book, and it's called Black and White. Man, changed my perspective on the love of God. Changed my perspective on walking in love. Changed my perspective on understanding culture. Changed my perspective on understanding ethnic groups. I mean, just blew my mind completely away. And he had pictures of them together, and I'm like, and this guy, it's crazy because he's got like these AKs, and he's all got his stuff up, and the dude's dressed up in his KKK garb. Like that was the cover of the book.
Wow.
And I was like, my goodness. And ever since then, he's the one that told me, and what I'm sharing with you, he told me, he says, every person needs a black friend, a white friend, a Hispanic friend, and some other Asian or ethnic group friend. You have to have those types of people in your life, or everything's just going to stay where it's at. And ever since then, I find myself to be friendly with blacks, whites, Asians, Indian. Man, it don't matter, man. I'm like, I got to get up in here because there's no way I'm going to be able to understand. Watch this. I'm never going to be able to understand how to minister to black kids if I don't understand what it's like to be in that culture. I'm never going to be effective to minister to white kids if I'm not understanding that culture. I'm never going to be able to understand what it's like to minister to Hispanic kids if I don't understand that culture. I don't know what it's going to be like to minister to an Asian group if I don't understand that culture. Hello. So now when you understand the types of friends, now why would somebody want to follow you? Because you understand them. Hello. See, Jesus understood everybody. Well, I'm not called to the black community. I'm not saying you got to be called to the black community. I'm saying if you understand the culture, it makes you look with a different perspective. Because God sees us all the same. We just don't see each other the same.